I'm a very, very guilty person. And so let's go back to the Zoom machine. She's fighting in the co-main event on Saturday, and she came back. She could have told us all to take a hike, but she came back. There she is, Lauren Murphy. How are you? We can hear you now.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, this is a great pleasure. I really appreciate it. And again, I'm sorry about that. I know you've got a million things on your mind and a million things to do. And the last thing you want to do is come back and do another interview again. So I apologize on behalf of the whole team for this. Thank you for doing it. I know you have a tight window here, right? Just so I know you have 10 minutes or so for us?
Actually, it works out. We kind of have a longer window now. So I'm done with most of my media for the day. And check me out. You caught me in my Venom gear, too. I just got done with my photo shoot and everything. And so now you guys know I have the white fight kit for Saturday night.
Well, that's good. So I don't have to feel like I'm, the Micro Machine guy. Actually, I wanted to start with that because you talked about, the photo shoot. You had a really nice post about Susie, the longtime makeup artist who unfortunately recently passed away after her battle with cancer. I knew Susie very well as well, and she always made me feel so great and comfortable, but I know that her relationship with the fighters was a lot different. And what you wrote, I think, really explained and encompassed what made her so special. Do you mind verbalizing that for us? Why did you feel such a strong connection to the late, great Susie Q, as people like to call her?
Yeah, she was amazing. Actually, Mike Roach just did the photo shoot, and he was like, man, first one without Susie. And I said, yeah, I know, it is pretty sad. But, man, she would be so proud. She would be so happy for me to see me, at the co-main event fighting for the title. She just loved it because she was, there from the beginning. And the first UFC fight I had, we were in Bangor, Maine, I think, for my debut. It was just a small town. I was really, awkward in front of the camera. I felt really shy and unconfident and just unsure of myself. And man, she was the first person I remember in the UFC that just made me feel so comfortable. She really made me feel like I belonged, and she would just chit chat and joke around. And she made me feel very pretty. She made me feel like I just had a place there, and she was easy to talk to. And, it was just such a good experience working with her. And I've worked with other makeup artists outside the UFC, and Susie set the bar high. So she was really something special, and she has missed a lot. So
she has, or she had, I should say, an infectious smile, an infectious laugh, just a really great ability to make you guys comfortable, because I've seen it firsthand, some fighters who are a little bit shy, who are there to just fight, and they're not there for the photos and everything, and she just made you guys feel very comfortable. So I thought your words were really nice on your Instagram, and that was a great way to start this conversation. Obviously, you're in Vegas for the biggest fight of your life. You've been in this game for a decade now. But you've never fought for a UFC belt against one of the greatest ever. On Wednesday at midday, 12:30 or so, before the biggest fight of your life, could you describe what is going on in your body? Are you feeling calm, nervous, anxious? How would you describe it 3 days before the fight?
Oh, I have bouts of, nerves and a little bit of anxiety here and there. And then I have, moments where I feel very calm and confident. And I think that roller coaster, I think everybody kind of goes through it a little bit, but I've been in this game long enough, and I'm surrounded by a great team, and I've learned how to deal with those nerves. And what I know now is that they're not even a bad thing. It's not bad to feel a little bit nervous or get butterflies in your stomach. It's I'm about to get in a fist fight in my underwear in front of the whole world. You probably should be a little bit nervous about that. If you're not, there's probably a couple screws loose. So, it's also, I feel overwhelming gratitude. I feel so happy. I'm very, very proud of myself. I don't know. I'm loving this. This is something that many, many fighters dream about, and they never, get to realize. And for me to see, we really, we bled and sweat and cried and grinded our way to the top. And for me, I just don't think there's any other way it could ever have been. That's, how my life has kind of been. That's how my fight career has been. And I think that's how the fight's going to go Saturday night. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be hard. It's going to hurt. There's going to be a lot of challenges to overcome, but I believe in my ability to overcome those challenges.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You got into this whole crazy sport because your son was taking jiu-jitsu classes, right? And you were just trying to get him to engage and compete as well. And so you started doing it, and then you fell in love with jiu-jitsu, and that's what led to all of this. Is that accurate?
That's it. I had never played a sport in my life. Well, okay, I take that back. I played softball once when I was 7.
Okay.
But like other than that, I had never really, played like a organized sport. I didn't know anything about it. I actually smoked cigarettes. I smoked like a pack of Marlboro Reds every day. I had a really, just an unhealthy lifestyle. And my son was 8, and I was like, man, it would be cool if, he got to do martial arts, like all the confidence and make some friends and discipline, all the benefits that come with, martial arts, especially as a kid. And so I literally, this is back when we had phone books, I opened up the phone book and I stuck my finger in it, and it landed on a Gracie Baja, which I had no idea what that even was. So I called the place. I talked to the woman that answered, and she was like, this is ground fighting. It's like joint locks and submissions. And I was like, I don't know about all that. I kind of want to, punch some shit or like kick something, And she said, well, that's fair. But, 90% of fights end up on the ground. And like the minute she said that, I was like, oh my God, that's true. That's true. So I was like, okay, we'll be right. We'll come in for your class tonight. And so we went in, and just to kind of encourage my son, I took the adult class. And I just fell in love with it. I had never experienced anything like that. I was naturally really strong. I was naturally very competitive. I wanted to like be good. And I thought to myself, like, man, it's probably too late for me to really like do anything. But, maybe if I do it for a year or something, at least a year from now, I won't be wishing that I had started a year ago. So maybe today's the day. And I started going a couple times a week, and then that turned into like 5 days a week. And then it was every day. And then it was twice a day. And then I was like working my schedule around it. And my son, he never did fall in love with it like
Really?
I did. He actually kind of hated it. Yeah, he was like, oh, they're all touching each other. I don't like it.
That was actually my next question. If he kind of pursued it as well, obviously not. Could I ask, what were you doing at that? Like, what year is this? So you started in 2010. Your fighting career started in 2010. But what year was this?
This was late 2009. So I started jiu-jitsu in like November of 2009. I started training with the MMA team at this very small school in Alaska, like the next spring, so like February or March. And I took my first pro fight in June of 2010.
Okay. Now, what were you doing? Like, what was your job at that point in your life?
I was going to be a nurse. I was in nursing school, and I was actually pretty far along in nursing school. And I was a good student. I thought that was my path. I thought that I wanted to be a nurse, and I got through, I test really well. I like school. And so I had gotten through all this stuff in school, and got into the clinical portion of my studies, where we were actually at the hospital treating patients with a professor, kind of overseeing us. And I realized I really didn't love it. I really did not want to be a nurse. And it was a kind of a shock to me. It was certainly a shock to my family. And like I said, I wasn't really living the best lifestyle back then. Like I was drinking a lot, and I had a lot of personal issues going on. And it all just kind of came together where I ended up not finishing nursing school, and started fighting. And right around the time that I figured out I didn't want to be a nurse, I had won my first professional title, and I loved fighting so much. And I never thought like this would be a job. I never thought that this would be like, I certainly never thought I would be here, but I knew I didn't want to be a nurse, and I knew I loved fighting.
Wow. What an unbelievable story. Like, imagine 10 years ago, someone telling you you'd be fighting on a UFC pay-per-view above Nick Diaz, who at the time was already a superstar, right? Like, I mean, the whole thing is kind of insane, right?
I think about that all the time. Like if somebody from the future had come and told that room of athletes, like, one of you is going to fight for the UFC title. One of you, like I would have been the last person anybody would have guessed, so including myself. But it was actually a really cool MMA team that I started with in Alaska. Jared Cannonier was in that room with us. We trained together since I was a white belt. There was a guy, Andy Enns. He ended up in the UFC. We had a couple actually really talented guys that were on that, kind of first MMA team that I trained on in that small little school in Alaska.
What do you think you'd be doing now if you never took your son to jiu-jitsu class?
Oh, I don't know, but it wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be as good for sure. Like if I could have planned out what my life would have looked like all those years ago, man, I would have sold myself short 1,000 times over. Even if I had like picked the best thing I thought for myself. Like it would not have been as good as what we got going on today. I don't know. I'd probably still be in Alaska, which Alaska is a great place. I'm proud to be from that state, but I also felt very isolated up there. But you know, I'd grown up there. I knew almost everybody up there and just had a lot of like bad, I don't know, hanging out with bad people, kind of doing bad things up there. And I think it was really good for me to get out of Alaska and kind of get away from that scene and be able to start fresh with, you know, my husband, Joe. He was my boyfriend at the time, but, you know, we've been married since. And yeah, I don't really like to think about it, honestly, because I think my life would not be as good. I think my son's life would not be as good. You know, I think his mom would not have been able to be the example to him that she is today. So yeah, definitely nowhere near what we're doing now.
And of course, now you no longer live in Alaska. You live and train out of Houston, Texas. When did you move? How long ago did you move to Houston?
So we moved out of Alaska in 2012. And we moved to Florida first. My husband is military and he was stationed in Florida. So that's where we moved first. And I had a coach that I really liked who had moved to Houston from Alaska. And so we kind of went from Alaska, we went our separate ways. And I started driving to Texas from Florida. I would just drive back and forth, and I went to go get my blue belt from him. I was a white belt. And so I went to go get my blue belt from him. And when I went to visit him, I was offered a fight in Legacy. And so that's honestly how everything started taking off, you know, and then I got a contract with Invicta. So every time I had a fight, I would drive to Texas to train. In 2013, I fought 4 times, and it was all out of a camp in Houston, Texas. And so I really loved it. I was very successful. And my husband, just through a series of events and with his career, we ended up in Arizona, and I trained at the MMA lab for 5 years, which was a really great experience. That's where my UFC career started. And even though like I went 2-4 in my first like 6 fights in the UFC, like I learned a lot at the lab. I think that they have made me a much better athlete. Yeah, I got to train with some really high-level fighters like Benson Henderson and Sean O'Malley and Kyler Phillips. Like it's really Mackenzie Dern. Like it was awesome being able to train there. But in 2019, I was like, man, I think it's time to make a change. And so we moved back to Houston. I got back with my old coach, and we've been on a win streak ever since.
Yeah, 5 in a row. You look great. I like the fighting, but I also like the fire. Like I remember last year in Abu Dhabi, like you feel a lot more confident on the microphone about, you know, pushing yourself, about saying what you want. Where is this all coming from?
Practice, you know, and messing it up a lot and learning from my mistakes, because like I really, like we talked about with Susie, like when I first showed up to the UFC, like I grew up on a dirt road in Alaska, man. Like I wasn't the center of attention. I wasn't social media savvy. I was older when I got into MMA. So I was like, I'm from the Facebook days, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just been a lot of practice and a lot of, you know, a lot of learning experiences, but I am getting better on the mic, and I'm getting better doing interviews. You know, I'm getting better at putting myself out there too. And just, I think like on The Ultimate Fighter, I was so afraid to just be myself that I came across as really awkward and unconfident. And that's probably how I felt, a little awkward and unconfident. So I've really kind of started to embrace, like, this is who I am. This is how I am. This is what I do. And I'm proud of it. I've really started to love myself. It's one of the benefits of being a martial artist, I think, you know.
That's amazing. Speaking of The Ultimate Fighter, are you and Eddie Alvarez cool, or is that always going to be a relationship that will never thrive? You'll never see eye to eye. Where does that stand right now?
We don't talk. I don't know. I don't ever really think about it. Yeah, I never think about him. You know, maybe if he were like still in the UFC and our paths were to cross sometimes, maybe it would be different. But it's like we live on opposite ends of the country. Sure. We're not in the same promotion. So yeah, I don't think either of us think about each other. Do you have animosity towards him? Do you feel a certain way about him, or it's just non-existent? No, it's just non-existent. Like, I don't really care.
Okay. And so now you get this winning streak, and then you get the opportunity. Like, this is the reward for winning 5 in a row, for looking tremendous out there, for getting on the mic, is to fight Valentina Shevchenko, arguably one of the greatest female fighters of all time. By the time it's all said and done, she might go down as the greatest. Some people thought she beat Amanda Nunes in their last fight. And I'm sure you've had to hear it from every loser on the internet about how, she's going to smoke you and the betting odds are against you and all this stuff. How does one process that? I can't imagine dealing with something like that. Like, you're about to walk into something. I get nervous. Like, when I got an opportunity to be on the sidelines for NBA, I was so nervous. I mean, I could feel my heart coming out of my throat. I can't imagine what it would be like to do that while having people tell me I'm going to fail or that I suck, or that, you know what I mean? How do you balance that?
Well, my focus really is just on, like, I really try to focus hard on just being like the best I can be. So I've practiced really hard. I have a really great sparring partner that emulates Valentina really well. His name is Paris Moran. He's a great kid. He's been part of our camp. He's a part of our camp and always has been. And so just to have him in our camp and be able to use him for this fight has really given me a lot of confidence. Like, he can throw all the same spinning attacks that she throws. He's a natural southpaw. He fights at 125. So I'm blessed to have him in our camp. And also, I just try to focus really on, like, okay, we're in the moment. I want to stay in the moment, and I'm just going to go out and fight to the best of my ability and try to carry out the sequences and game plan that my coaches have set for me in all these different areas that the fight could go. And when I'm thinking about that, I'm not really thinking about, like, Valentina's reputation or her past accomplishments or what people think of her, because all that stuff is way out of my control anyway. And that's not even what I'm fighting. Like, I'm fighting her body, and she is human and she is amazing. She is great, but she's just another tough chick in front of me, just like I've been doing for the last 10 or 12 years now. And if I've just focused on myself and what I can do, then that's really like what has changed. I think this win streak is like come from that kind of focus and confidence.
So how does one beat Valentina Shevchenko?
Well, I know how I win fights, and I'm the toughest, grittiest, most durable female out there, I think. And I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to take a beating. I'm not afraid to get in there and drag people into deep waters and make them tired. And I think it's just so fitting, because it's like, that's how I fight. That's what I do. And that's what I'm going to do Saturday night.
When you watch her tape, do you see holes? Like, do you see things that you are going to look to capitalize on? To the naked eye, it seems like she's unbeatable, that she's invincible. But when you watch her as a pro, do you see holes?
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, so first of all, like, the champion that she is, she didn't get there by having big glaring weaknesses. You know what I mean? Like, nobody at this level has, like, it's like, oh, her ground game sucks or whatever. She doesn't do this. Like, nobody gets this far by having a game that's not extremely well-rounded and being good at all of it. But also, like I said, she is human. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has habits that, your opponent can capitalize on, and nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And it only takes one mistake at this level, one little mistake, and then I can capitalize on that. And I think I have a way of frustrating people. I think I have a way of, like, discouraging people to where they lose their focus and they start making more and more mistakes.
But you did say, correct me if I'm wrong, she's never fought anyone as tough as you. Accurate?
Yeah, I think I'm one of the toughest, most durable women, certainly on the UFC roster, and in my belief, the entire world.
Wow, I love it. That's confidence right there. That's what you have to believe going into a fight. Have you allowed yourself, Lauren, to think what life would be like if you beat her on Saturday? Life will change for you forever. It will be one of the biggest upsets in the history of this sport. And then you get the rematch, and there's all this stuff. Do you allow yourself to, like, when you go to bed at night, sometimes in training camp, do you think about what that feeling, the pandemonium, Dana putting the belt around your waist, everything, like all the hoopla? Do you even allow yourself to go there?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, I think about it quite often, what it would be like to win and how I want to win. And I visualize Dana putting the belt around my waist. So what it would be like to walk out of the cage with the belt. And, to be honest with you, yeah, it would change a lot, I guess, but it wouldn't change the stuff that's really important. Like, my coaches are going to love me. My husband and I have a great marriage. My son thinks I'm awesome. I love what we're doing in Houston. Like, it would change some things, but it wouldn't change everything. Like, all the important stuff is really intact in my life. And that's how we've set it up. Like, so winning the belt would be cool. It would be a huge accomplishment. It would be a momentous occasion, but it's just one more moment in a whole like career of cool moments.
Yeah.
You know?
What a journey. I'm wondering, your good friend and training partner, Derek Lewis, he's been in a couple of these spots before against some tough people. Did he give you any advice before your first UFC title fight?
He told me to not give a fuck.
Okay. That's great advice. That's tremendous advice. I wish you the best. Do you want to throw out a prediction? Obviously you're going to win in your mind, but how are you going to win?
All I know is that I'm ready to go in there and fight to the very end. I know it's going to be a painful, hard experience, and I'm ready for that. I think honestly that's what I'm good at, is I'm good at facing that kind of adversity and coming out on top. That's what I've been doing this whole time, and that's what I'm going to do on Saturday night. You know, the truth is, Ariel, that when people fight me, like when they're losing the fight, it's a hard, painful experience for them and they don't love it. But even when they're winning the fight, it's going to be a hard, painful experience for them, and they're not going to love it. You know what I mean? I really think that that's like what I'm bringing to the table. I'm just so tough and durable. I'm willing to drag her into deep waters, and that's who I am, and that's what I do, and that's what's going to happen Saturday night, and that's how I'm going to get my hand raised.
I love it. I will remember that on Saturday as I'm watching that fight. I wish you the best, Lauren. Sincerely, congratulations on making it this far on your journey. I want to apologize not only for the screw up earlier, but for taking so long to have you on my show. It's really great to meet you and to talk to you. And before the biggest fight of your career, what an honor it is. So enjoy the week as much as you can. Good luck on Saturday. Can't wait to see how it all unfolds. And again, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. Hey, congrats on passing your citizenship test. That's awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Here, I have my flag right here. There it is. Yay.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Good luck to you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. There she is, Lauren Murphy. And yes, I did pass my test yesterday.